Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Black Belt Factory, the podcast you listen to while you train. I'm your host, Ren Smitty, joined here again by my partner.
What up, y'all? It's Jay.
And
back at you.
Alrighty. Today's topic, we are talking about belts, what they mean in Western society versus the cultures they come from, and what it takes to get one in today's society.
I think it's important to know that the origin of the color belt system, if you know anything about your martial arts, actually comes from judo. And in judo, were three belt colors at the beginning. There's a white belt, a brown belt, and a black belt, right? And then that corresponds with, obviously, the three levels of proficiency, right? So, at the time, being a black belt was a really big deal. A really big deal in judo. It took you a long, long time. And I think the main problem for me is there's too many belts and progression is too quick between each belt.
I think when I was teaching and we were talking about belts, what I would see is like you would not be able to fail a belt test in where we're at. Well, I failed a belt at one point, so it's not it's not as clickbaity as it sounds. But like I was working with when we would work with kids on testing day, and that was like the worst day, in my opinion.
Yeah, because you're forced to like work with these kids that are like clearly not ready for testing, but the owner like
he wants that money.
He wants the money, so it's like you have a due date, and there's nothing to work with there. Like the kids are just trash.
And when I was originally working with these kids, and then like you put them up for belt testing, and I remember specifically on those days, you'd be working with the kid, he would go up to test, he would suck complete ass, and like
get the blame.
You would get the blame, and it's like, no, the kid sucks ass. I don't suck that much ass. And it was like,
I mean, I don't know. I think you kind of are.
You are
what you teach.
A little
in my opinion,
responsible for those kids, but if the kids are not good and not ready for the belt test,
well, they shouldn't be allowed to test.
They shouldn't be allowed to test.
Yeah.
When you get to test, and there was a saying, and it was like, when you go to test, you should only test when I know you're going to pass.
Exactly.
If there's any chance of failure, why should I be testing you? And it's like, well, yeah, that rings true. And I remember it was one time during a summer camp, and I don't remember the back kick, and it was like one of the kids, he went into his testing, and at this point he was like a yellow belt. They don't learn, where we were at, they didn't learn back kick at that point. And the guy that came in, Mr. Potato, and he was fucking furious. And he comes in and he's like, why doesn't this kid know back kick?
So
and we're like,
this guy doesn't even know the own curriculum he put out, and he's like blaming.
And like people. We're like, well, we don't know. The kid's crying. And he's like, teach this kid back kick. And
right
like,
now.
And we're like, oh jeez. So like we're like teaching
like
this.
You have like
you have 10 minutes.
You have exactly 10 minutes to teach this kid back kick before you die.
We're trying to teach the kid back kick, and it's like, the kid's crying, nothing's going right. Like, I don't even think he learned back kick. He goes in there, he does like the worst back kick in existence, and his owner's like, mumble, I know I'm wrong.
That was a habit of this owner, was constantly saying just gibberish and just being mad for no reason. And a lot of it was motivated by the fucking the belt testings, you know? Like, I think there might have been like 12 belts in that system or something. Like, it was the standard Taekwondo thing where they have like a white belt, a yellow stripe white belt, and like a yellow belt, and you never really saw the difference between like a yellow belt and a yellow stripe, you know?
There was, how many belts was there? Yellow, white, yellow, green belt, blue belt, red. There was 11 belts.
11 belts.
And I don't know if that is a part. I could probably look it up, but I think he's using a little bit too many belts at that point.
Well, I think that's also a fault of the WTF, the fact that they have so many belts and that anybody can have any given belt at any given moment.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
There's no difference, in my opinion, between a white belt and a yellow stripe. It's like, I look at the difference.
I would go as far as there's no difference between a white belt and like somebody that's just a level under black belt.
Yeah, because like,
you know,
anything I could learn at white belt, anything I could learn at black stripe, I could learn at white belt if I commit myself to it. So what is the point of a belt except give me money, or this is where I believe you are at this point.
Bro, and it's like, I don't know, like you get those little certificates with like your name on it or like pictures, And it's like, yo, parents love that shit. I don't know.
I got traded cards. So our instructor would bring us to the front. You got your new belt, and he'd be like, "Oh, I see Pokemon's in style," and he'd like whip out these trading cards, and he's like, "Trade them with your friends."
He's like, "You got the Ren trading card. I'll trade your Ren for my J." Nobody would make that deal, by the way.
It's like that's a pretty good deal. His attacks are back kick and randos kick. And I remember, like, you'd be working with the kids. The trading cards, though, powerful. But I remember,
What a
like,
stupid gimmick.
well, like, you know, that's what martial arts are built off of, is the gimmick. You walk in, and it's like, our gimmick is we're doing karate and taekwondo, or our gimmick is you come in and you're going to be a world-class fighter.
Or get your black belt within a year, or 6 months, or we do little dragons.
The thing about belts is, I think they work a lot in the tournament system as well to get money. Because tournament, it's easier to rank.
Oh, that's true.
You rank people based on, like, okay, we need to get as much money out of these people. How about we have different prices for each belt you're at? So if you're a
Doesn't make
higher
sense.
belt,
I
you
think
can
the
pay
only
more.
people competing should be black belts. But that's just my opinion.
Like, I don't know. I feel like
Kids have no place in competitive sports. No.
that is true. That is true. But it's a marketing thing, and like, I'm not totally against kids competing. I feel it can be a great, like, what are the ways that you're going to learn?
Yeah, but the worst part is it's really bad in sport karate, okay? Because you have these, like, national world champions that are, like 8 or 9. And then, like, that's, like, their peak of whatever they're going to do, and it's just horrible.
Well, I remember, from my...
I'm a world yellow belt champion.
How are you? Okay, I don't think... the title you get from the sparring, I don't think matters as much when you're that young. But I think the most important thing about tournaments is when you're able to face other studios. How else are you going to learn? Because if you just train within your own space, you'll get used to that technique. But as soon as you start breaching out, you're going to get better.
But I think that's just a case of competing. And I think as a black belt, you should just be able to do that.
Yeah, but like, how else are kids going to compete? Like, studios are not crossbreeding at this point. No studio goes up to another studio and says, "Hey, can my kids fight your kids to learn?" No one does that.
Well, that's the fault of the system. Doesn't mean we should allow kids to compete. Because if you think about it,
Well, if you
how far is a kid going to go in competition?
I feel if you look at like Japanese martial arts and like you go into their system, I feel those kids would like
Kids
cross a lot more.
Kids don't compete in Japanese martial arts. There's very little competition within color belts.
Do those studios cross though?
Probably, I would assume so.
And then you look at Western, and it's
But
like
those belong to organizations with like proper branch schools, and like that's a whole different topic.
Western instructors are so petty of each other. They go in and they just hate. They don't like other instructors because of experience that they had. I feel Western martial arts.
Yeah, there's a lot of gossiping and a lot of politics.
Oh yeah. And when you get
That's
politics,
a whole different thing, and
get
it's
a whole
all like
bunch
a tape measuring contest.
Yeah.
Like I'm an 8th dan and so and so's a 6th dan.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
You look at a bunch of other studios, and I really focus on them. And I imagine, like, when Taekwondo first came to the West, I'm using Taekwondo as an example, and, like, we had the one main guy. He trained a bunch of people, and then, like, they all got mad and fucked each other off. And you just branch it. Yeah, everyone just messes with each other in martial arts like Taekwondo, karate in the West. I feel in Japan, people don't hate each other
It's a little
as
bit more
much.
honor. Like the whole thing of lineage is a lot more important. That's another thing. It's like, for me, when somebody says I got a black belt, I don't really care that they have a black belt, but it's under who. You know what I mean? Like, who did you learn your material from? Because, like, for example, if you're a Gracie black belt, that's a big deal. You know, if you're a Shiroka or a Funikoshi or JKA black belt, that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're just like, I don't know, John Smith gave me my black belt, like, I don't give a fuck.
You know, I feel like some martial arts teachers might get brushed under the rug, and they have that skill. They're just not well known.
No, but if they have that skill, they're well known. If they're in that position, come on, bro. Like, that's not even a thing.
I don't know. It's like, a lot of instructors here are well known, but they're not even good. You'll get a lot of awards just from being a studio and having a lot of people and being like, "Hey, oh, you want to vote for me? Vote for me to be the best." It's like, I feel if you're gonna get an award, like, a committee has to come in and like view your studio and be like, is this guy
see what you
actually what he
did.
is?
Yeah, I think the students are. We kind of floated off topic of the belt system, but
When it comes to belts, and you can talk for a moment. I'm just looking up something because I want to see, like, I remember on Reddit, a bunch of people were talking about, hey, oh, this is like my black belt test. And I remember our black belt test especially when we were doing, we stayed up for 24 hours, me and Jay, and like then we did our test afterwards. And, you know, it means a little bit of something.
Which is like way tougher than what I thought it would be. But even then it wasn't so bad. I think belt testings are weird because, you know, I think there needs to be time for digestion. So like if you just learn a technique, even if you think you know your technique, within a week you should probably give it like 2 months, 3 months for you to actually make neural pathways so that technique becomes natural. You know, it's easy to memorize something, but memory fades. So, but belt systems, I think the biggest sign that the belt system that you're training under is messed up is if there's multiple versions of one type of belt. Like if there's multiple types of white belts, like we said, like the Little Dragon program in the last show, you know, like how they have like 12, 15 different types of a white belt, because that's just a quick money grab, and it's like that with yellow belts and things like that. It's like, oh geez, I get my yellow belt with green stripe. I can't wait to test again in a month. Like that's, you don't even become attached to whatever belt you have, you know. Like one of our old instructors said that the other day. He's like, you know, the belt doesn't make you, you make the belt, and it's something that's very true. There's a lot of garbage. There's a lot of people with like miscellaneous belts too.
I found this interesting. I was just surfing, okay, and it's still on the topic of black belts, but you know how outrageous black belt testing fees are?
Oh
and,
my
like,
god, they're so expensive for no reason.
$700 for my third degree.
Twice.
And it's like, yeah, twice, because of issues like he said, oh no, we couldn't find your money that you gave us, and it's like, bitch, we just gave you
conveniently like hours later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, I couldn't find that money. You're gonna have to pay again.
I gave you $700 and you can't even put in the effort to double check. Now, here's what I just found. It's on Reddit. The guy could be lying, but it sounds pretty trustworthy. He said the Cookie1 fee to basically get your stuff sent through is $70.
$70.
So what is that? Cookie1 took 10%, and my master pocketed like $630 just right into his pocket.
Oh, he pocketed a lot more than that if you consider he took it twice.
Yeah, he took it twice. So like, I look at all that, and it's
like with anything, it's like
it's in the money.
It's in the money, and if you think about how many black belts they get per day,
at least
like that's $70 is like 2 hours, 3 hours of work for a regular person, you know?
And it's like, then you have to wait like a year for Cookie1 to be like, I guess I'll wake up one morning and file some paperwork to get these guys' forms.
I guess I'll actually do my only function as a company.
You know how they could make it easier? Make it online. You put that stuff through, you type in all the credentials, they just print out a certificate and send it.
I mean, that doesn't change the fact that there's a lot of fake black belts going around.
You know, I could get a black belt by just signing up for Cookie1, giving them $70 and then getting my certificate.
That's true. You could buy a black belt off eBay. Like, the physical belt itself will only cost you like $5.
Alright, 5 black belt. Okay. Cookie1, $75 for that and the black belt. And then I want to get it embroidered. Let's add another $30. So I'm spending $105 to get a black belt.
Yeah, and be like fully legit, and you can open up your own school with that. Yeah.
You can open up your own school without any credentials. You don't even have to go through anyone. If you don't want to go through Cookie1, sure. If you want to go through Cookie1, it's whatever. They're not going to check anything. Yeah. No one checks quality. It's all about quantity. It's all about the green. So if I have more people under my organization, I can get more money.
Yeah, and the thing, I think for schools that fast track their people, it really should be about retention of people, not about trying to like bring as many new people as possible. It's about keeping your old people, you know, like building a proper foundation of black belts and whatnot.
I think when I was looking at our black belt back at our old studio, the first one, Mr. Potatoes, and then we got stories about our second studio later.
Fucking Mr. Potato.
Ooh, Mr. Potato. And Mr. Potato, he had how many black belts? We saw a photo recently when we left,
ridiculous.
And he was like black belt testing day, and he had like easily 10 kids.
Yeah, over 10 kids. Like, mind you, like he maybe had like one adult and like one teenager and like 8 kids. It was ridiculous. I'm talking about these kids aren't even teenagers. They're like less than preteens.
And it was like, I look at all that and it's like, oh, what do I get from this now? He just got $6,000 basically from
Easy.
an hour's work. And I remember during a summer camp that we were teaching,
It's really ingenious if you think about it. It's like
Oh,
a
yeah.
wonderful business strategy.
you look at martial arts and it's like the guy's gonna get like maybe 50% of his profit just from membership fees, another 50 from belt testing.
Yeah,
Belt testing is
it's like a huge part of cash flow.
because parents go, I want my son to be the best. I want him, and you know,
I
feel,
want to boost his confidence.
I feel bad for these parents because they got sucked into a scheme. And it's like these are good-hearted people who just want to see the best for their kids.
Yeah, but it's also part of the parents. Like,
And, you know, it's
parents know when it's bullshit. Like, they know that their kid shouldn't be testing every month. Like, they know that. But it's kind of like they see it and they exploit it. And they're like, oh, I want my kid to be a black belt before he's 10 or something, you know?
and, you know, that's all true. But it's like, I remember when, and this is a whole story, and then we were doing a summer camp, okay? And this was the one before we left that studio for good. So the summer camp, it was like, this is the black belt camp. You come and you get your black belt. Like,
Oh, that's a good story, man.
You're black stripe. You come in this week. You will test for your black belt by the end of the camp, guaranteed.
So you get basically like a week's worth of training to prepare for a black belt test.
And what do you get? You only get like 15 hours of training for a black belt test.
Yeah, that's nothing, man.
It's like, let me put in 15 hours of jerking off, and maybe then I can get my black belt.
All right, Ren. All right. A little
Okay.
bit too personal.
Okay, it's like, but here's what I remember. It was like on that, it was on that testing day, and then like we walked in, and like Mr. Potato wasn't even there. He was replaced. he was he was out on like a bit on a vacation in like Hawaii or something.
And at this time, Mr. Potato, he was in trouble because his school wasn't doing too good.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a foolish
So
move.
he left, and he put the person in charge of black belt testing was a 4th degree black belt. And like, let's just say she was not very good. She was like 18, 19 or something. And we will call.
So how are you? That's another topic for a little bit. It's like, how are you gonna be like 18 and be a 4th degree black belt? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
We'll call her Miss Bicycle, because town bike.
It's not even.
She was the town bicycle. Everyone gets a ride, my boy. So
Okay.
she was heading the test, okay, and it was me, Jay, and one of our friends. So
Yes.
this friend, he was actually pretty good. He just didn't give a shit as well.
Well, yeah, but I kind of blame him too, because like we did as much as we could for a week. Like I did, but like like Ren and the other guy, they weren't too interested. They kind of already saw like
Yeah, because it's like,
what it was gonna be. But I was like still young and like illusional. I was like, I'm gonna single-handedly change the system. And
okay, but here's my thing. Like, what
You know?
I look at that and I'm like, I could rather put in effort and get nothing out of it, or I could put in no effort and get the same amount out of it.
no,
And
like
it's
I understand that.
It's a wrong mentality to have. I should have put in the effort, but it's like I look at it and it's like this 9. How old was he? 6 or he was like 7 or something, 7 or 8.
Dude, can you imagine like just like a couple years ago you learned how to walk and now you're a master of martial arts? Like, what the fuck?
I remember it was a black belt test, okay,
This kid can barely ride a bike.
and I was like, we were sitting off this side, okay, we were watching, and like progressively as test went on, I like slowly went more and more down into my chair.
You know, I had the opposite effect because like my soul was dying, so like I started like kind of like with this kind of flat face, and then my grin grew because I was just so entertained with the chaos.
Well,
I was
'cause
like, what the fuck?
What was
is
it?
this, man?
Our friend was trying to make us laugh. He had like the board, and he was like making it into Pac-Man. He's like, nah, 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 nah. And it's like,
Yeah,
come on,
he's a
man.
goof, man.
Okay,
Our
but
friend was also like a over 200 pounds black guy.
he was
So he was like easily the most intimidating person in the room, and he was like so bored.
Okay, we were watching the test, and I remember it went up, okay? And they're like, okay, let's do the black belt testing. Start doing your kicks and shit. And I remember board breaking. It was like spinning back kick, okay? Spinning back kick. Blue belt kick. That is like...
Well, to be honest, like I don't know. That's another ridiculous thing. Like a spinning back kick to me is like a very advanced maneuver.
Eh.
You know, it's like, especially if you're gonna actually use it for fighting.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that's a very advanced thing to pull off.
Either way.
It should not be a blue fucking belt.
Mr. 8, 9-year-old. I forget. We'll call him 8. Okay, to make it a little bit more humiliating. 9 is also humiliating, but 8 is just like icing on the cake.
It's pushing it, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like, I think 9 is pushing it way beyond. This isn't even a push at this point.
You know, for me, I'm gonna drop this thought right here, but I think 16 is the absolute youngest for a black belt.
True.
I don't see any younger than that, and even then, that's pushing it. Some would argue 18. I wouldn't disagree with 18. Some would argue 21.
I can see. Here's my thing. I can see 15, because that is when you become a Dan in Taekwondo.
Yeah, no, but that's ridiculous. That's stupid.
Yeah.
You shouldn't become a Dan at fucking 15. Like, what do you know about
Because
anything
it goes
in the
boom
world?
to Dan. Either way. So during the black belt test, they were doing board breaking. Little 8-year-old couldn't break the board with a spinning back kick. Hilarious. It was like the second weakest board. And then he starts crying. People were crying during the black belt test.
Yeah, one of the rules is if you cry, you fail.
He didn't fail.
He did the one thing that you can fail for, and he still didn't fail.
And now,
crazy.
Here's the thing. Okay, he goes out and he's sobbing, and you're like, teach this kid spinning back kick. And our black friend's like, damn it, okay, I'll teach him spinning back kick. So he brings him out, and I'm still slumped in my chair, and I'm just watching the rest of the testing. At one point, people were messing up their poomsae as well, and
Which is trash.
I spent a week teaching these guys their poomsae, and they're messing up.
So yeah, that was kind of what Ren did.
I was the poomsae master.
He just kind of taught people poomsae, and he was so invested in these people, and then they didn't perform, and he was so mad. It was like him up there.
The only reason I was the poomsae master is because I put in the effort to memorize all the poomsae.
Yeah, literally nobody else in this dojang even cared.
No one.
I remember I knew all the poomsaes I had to teach, and the ones that my belt the rank or whatever had to know. But other than that, I couldn't tell you.
I think I put in the effort to memorize them all, just so I could be I'm the poomsae guy. Send me your poomsae.
That's my gimmick.
That was
I do poomsae.
All studios have a gimmick. That's what I say.
When you can't fight, so you just do poomsae instead.
Who would win in a fight? One poomsae or one young boy? Damn. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, the 8-year-old forgot his poomsae. His brother, who was 10, forgot his poomsae. Other people forgot their poomsae. And then
God damn.
I remember one of the board breaks. It was 1-inch punch. It was fingers on the board.
Yeah, this is a
palm strike. It was a palm strike.
A taekwondo black belt testing. 1-inch punch or 1-inch palm strike. Yes, what we practice every single day. Beautiful.
It's kind of it's whatever. It's gimmicky.
It is gimmicky.
Now,
it's not Dragon Ball Super. You're not gonna do that. You're not Bruce Lee. Chill.
Even then, it's Goku. Just wind up a full punch. Come on.
Yeah, just hit him. Just what the fuck? Don't be so dramatic.
You don't need to put in the weakest type of punch.
Yeah.
It's any other type of punch would do more damage.
Of course.
Okay, so the black belt testing was hilarious. And then afterwards, all the kids got Frosties from Wendy's.
He was good job.
This is the second time.
You get a treat.
This is the second podcast we're bringing up Wendy's.
I'm telling you, Wendy's, if you're out there,
if one of your
sponsor your boy.
If one of your executives is really in the martial arts, and he's this makes sense.
Sponsor your boy.
Sponsor your boy. Give us free shit. But it was really sad because I'm watching all those kids, and it's I trained them for a week. I remember one time. And it was one time during that week, one of our co-instructors, there were a couple of us co-instructing that, we'll call him Lover Boy. And
okay.
Lover Boy.
It's crazy because it's Ren's coming up with these names as we go, but I know exactly who he's talking.
And I remember, at one point, he brought out a pack of balloons, and he's like, Ren, help me blow these up. And I'm
Dumbass.
Damn it. So I blew up the balloons, and he's like, we're going to do a balloon class. And it's what the fuck is a balloon class? And he's like, all right, all these people testing for their black belt at the end of the week, you're going to kick these balloons and try and keep them in the air. And it's bitch, I'm trying to teach poomsae, and you're trying to make kids kick balloons in the air for an hour.
I mean, I could see that, but
What's more important, balloons or poomsae?
You don't want my opinion on that.
You hate poomsae.
I think poomsae is not even worth learning.
What's more important, kicks or let me hit a balloon with my nose for an hour?
Oh no, with the nose that was fucked. But if you're practicing, then my thing just becomes around you could do that for 10 minutes as a gimmick, but then you have to go back to regular practice. You can't just.
I'm against game ideas like that in martial arts.
Yeah, I think there's so many places to.
There are other ways to work on hand-eye coordination.
Of course, but you know, like everybody wants to be the popular instructor. It's like, man, I'm the funnest man.
You know, Loverboy sucked ass. But
whoa, Loverboy is our boy. That's our friend.
Is he?
I don't know shit.
Loverboy too.
Is he?
And then now let's talk about, we didn't talk about as much in the last podcast, so let's talk about this time. This is the second dojo we went to, karate/taekwondo.
Oh my god, I'm about to throw up.
Now, Jay had the worst experience at this place.
Dude, I got absolutely bodied. Like, they were so nice to me, and I was still like, I'm still a little bit like that, but much more than, like, I was so happy to be part of the you know, of the martial arts community again, and like to be learning and training again.
We had like a month break. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but like, I don't know. To me, like, training every day, like, that month seemed like an eternity, bro.
Now let's talk about the belts at their school. We walk in first day. Okay, it's karate and taekwondo.
Bro, it was the same belts as like the
taekwondo place.
The taekwondo. I almost said the name of the place.
Now we'll call the main instructor there Mrs. Horse Lady.
Middle-aged horse lady.
Middle-aged horsewoman. Because she looked like a horse. And think about... you want a like visual representation? Think about, like, an anorexic pony. And it's like, there you go.
Think of like, oh, man, what's that show on Netflix?
BoJack Horseman?
Yeah, think of, like, that character...
But a woman.
Like, female and, like, really skinny and, like, gross.
She was ugly. And, like, she would try and sell her body and shit.
I was pathetic because she was really old.
Yeah. But let's talk about that on another side. So
and like, that was the worst because they brought me in to teach their kids. But every 3 months, it was scheduled. Like, it was part of the schedule. It was already, like, pre-planned that there was a testing. And I had the responsibility of basically getting a bunch of people to test at a time, like, in bulk. And it was so bad. Like, I ended up resorting to, like, inviting people to the testings.
Damn.
That weren't even ready just to meet a quota. And it was like, it was bad, man.
That's another thing about testing. It's quotas. And, like, there was a lot of those at the other place. The first place, I don't think they had much of a quota. They might have.
Yeah, I think to a lesser degree they did, but it wasn't as bad as this one. Like,
I think his idea was, I just want a bunch of people. This person was like, I need 500 people testing right now.
Right now!
Give them to me.
I need the population of our town to test right now.
I need all of India in my dojo right now. And it's like, okay, quotas are absolute shit. People test when they're ready to test. Even that.
Yeah, you know, different people progress at a different rate, right? But it's ridiculous.
And I remember this one time. Like, I was never invited to the testing, firstly. I did not give that much of a shit at this new place.
Well, hold on. I think it's fair to say, like, so, basically, we got our black belts at our first place, right?
Yeah.
And then I went on at the second place. I got a black belt in sport karate with these people, which is, like... It took me, like, 6 months to do.
Yeah, he went through pretty quick.
And like... It was like
you got
the same belt testing, so it was 11 separate testings. But I like on my first one, they allowed me to skip all of the belts like that I could. I think I skipped like 8 belts or something.
Damn.
Like, I went from a white belt to like a red belt.
Here's the thing: Jay has the skill to back it up.
Yeah, but I came from a different martial art, right? Like, this was Taekwondo, like Olympic Taekwondo. We went from Taekwondo to sport karate, and like, even I could recognize that, like, okay, but you know, I haven't been doing this for that long.
Yeah.
But you know, I saw an opening there, and I took it because I was like, if I get a black belt under them, more work, right?
Now, I didn't go for my sport karate black belt because I just viewed sport karate. I was so bitter about it because I walked in, they're like, this is a Taekwondo karate program. I'm like, oh, where's the Taekwondo?
Ren walks in, and there's like one Taekwondo person, and it's me. It's like, bro.
Because it's like, you know, if you're going to advertise it as Taekwondo and karate, I expect to see a fucking kick.
No,
like,
but it was really bad. Like, they the funny part is they didn't have good karate, and they didn't have good Taekwondo. It was like, what the fuck?
Now, testing at that place was very, like, you met quotas and shit. People would move on that weren't. Now, let's talk about the black belts at that place. We had 2 very obese women.
Let's you know, you ever seen the old version of Willy Wonka when that girl turns into the blueberry and she's like literally like a purple ball? Think of like one purple ball and a slightly larger purple ball.
You know, that was the place, and it's like, I remember when I first walked in, and there was this boy, and I think we mentioned him last time. This is Sensei Cheeks.
Sensei cheeks.
Because he
Classic
had the
Sensei
best
cheeks.
cheeks. Now, the first time...
Which pair of cheeks? That's up to you guys. That's up to you guys to determine.
What cheeks are there? Now, I remember the very first class I met him. It was like one of the very first. And like he was younger than me. And I was young as fuck. So he was like
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
13, 14. All right? He walks in, he's like, all right, guys, so today we're going to be doing an obstacle course. And me and Jay, like, we were kind of uncomfortable at this time, so we
Bro,
weren't...
I was ready to kill myself. Like, I was like, oh, not this shit again.
Not an obstacle course. And, like, he sets up the obstacle course. We weren't doing much that class because we were still new. And we're like, okay, let's observe.
Let's observe and, learn how the things run around here.
He sets up the obstacle course, and he's, like, going through it. And he's like, okay, you're going to do bunny hops, and then you're going to give me 5 rounders kicks. And then he goes up to a bag, okay? It was, like, a proper punching bag.
A
and
heavy bag, guys.
you want to know what God looks like when he punches?
Just look at Sensei Cheeks, man.
Now, I remember what he went up there, hands on his cheekies, okay? What cheeks are up to you? And I've never seen a man both jump and punch at the same time.
and not like a good way, like a Superman punch.
Think about like bunny hops with someone like extending out their punches slightly.
It was really bad. Like, it was really comical to watch because he was off balance.
He was
too.
counting at the same time. He's like, "It's me, Samchi, go rook, sachach, choo." And then like afterwards, me and Jay are fucking losing it. Like,
Dude, it was so bad because I was trying, like, we were trying to be like all professional and like, oh man, like, because we were the only Taekwondo people there, so we wanted to like represent well. But like, it was really hard to keep a straight face. Like, I was turning red. Like, I'm a brown guy. It's really hard for me to turn red.
I'm a white guy.
And it was really bad. Like,
I turned red. Now, I remember at another point he was showing kicks. He did something weird. He did a flying side kick at one point.
Oh, hell
that was
no.
so embarrassing.
okay, here's a quick tip for people. If you don't know, if you have a doubt that you can do something, just don't do it. Like, don't even try it.
There was a point during board breaking, and Jay demonstrated like a front kick or something, and because he's like this Sensei Cheeks, I almost said his name, and like he saw Jay, because Jay recoiled his leg when he did it, and Cheeks is like, recoiling? I've never seen that before. And he did it. Jay was like, it was on a whiteboard, the easiest board, okay? Like, he wasn't even flexing or anything. It was literally just boom, bang. Like, just demonstrating for a bunch of little kids. And Cheeks is like, I can do that. And he goes up to kick the board. And, like, he began his recoil too early. So he, like, right before his foot touched the board, he began pulling it back so it didn't even touch.
Boy.
And all you saw was this kid, like, stumble backwards with this fully intact board. It's like, hold up.
He's like, did you break the board or did you break my heart?
It's like, Omare wa shindaru. And then, like, he goes to kick the board's like, Nani? He goes to kick the board and nothing happens, and it's just like, hold up a minute.
No. It was really bad. But that's what happens when you give kids these belts, man, really soon. Is they become junior black belts and they continue the vicious cycle of producing more junior black belts. It's like a disease, man.
Let's talk about the 2 overweight women. So,
this is like a history lesson.
Whom should I call these people? I'm thinking.
Purple ball and slightly larger purple ball.
Purple ball and slightly larger purple ball. So, slightly larger purple ball was fairly large. And like, I'm not saying
she was fairly large and fairly spherical.
Fairly purple. And I'm not saying fat people can't do martial arts. I'm just saying, martial arts and fat people don't mix.
Okay, now I'm going to say, bro, I said something controversial the last episode. I'm going to say something controversial right now. If you're overweight, you're not doing martial arts right. That's just what it is. Because, like, being in shape should be a process of training. You shouldn't be over a healthy amount of weight. Like, come on now. How are you supposed to talk and preach discipline if you don't got no discipline?
If you want to do a martial art, do like a fitness kickboxing class.
Or just hop your fat ass on the treadmill and run. Like, run until you lose some pounds and then go back to training.
Maybe put down to McDonald's for a minute and try some roundhouse kicks.
Fuck, do something, bro.
It's like, there are a lot of options out there.
Especially for martial arts, it's really unhealthy to be overweight.
Oh, yeah.
Like, your knees take so much damage just regularly, And when you're overweight with that extra weight, bro, come on now.
One
like
thing-
your heart, your lungs, come on now.
Let's talk about knees real quick. My knees.
So, we're on the subject of knees, huh?
My knees are not the best. I still put in the effort. I should wear a knee brace. I don't. But I remember
That's okay.
it was like one of the main things. It would be like you come across these teenage girls and you'd be like, my knees hurt. I need knee brace. It's like, shut the fuck up. You did fucking 2 squats. Like, your knees don't hurt.
It's like if you squat and like your knee bends like 10 degrees.
My knee.
Ah!
My knees
Like
hurt.
you just fall into the ground like holding your leg like, oh, I snapped my shit.
I forget what we called them. Slightly larger purple sphere. So
It was ball.
so large ball was like I didn't see her as much as smaller ball.
You're actually shaming. My bad. You're actually shaming women because she's beautiful, because
Is she?
she's empowering herself, because just let her be fat. Like she's stimulating the economy through buying a lot of food. Shit.
She. I don't know.
That's so fucked up to say. My bad.
I don't know. It's not. You're not wrong. I remember.
I was gonna make it sound like such douche.
I don't have as many memories of her because I didn't see her as much.
I saw her a lot. It was the thing is she wasn't like one of these people. Listen, you can be like struggling with your weight and still be a nice person and be okay with me. Like
Yeah.
I think that's not a problem. I think the lack of putting in the effort and just giving up and being in a teacher
Like,
position, I
just
think
don't
it's
be a cunt.
I think it's just irresponsible, to be honest.
Yeah. It's like you can't preach kids like, hey, you gotta be very disciplined to do martial arts. While you like look over at like that Big Mac and you're like, end of the class, I swear.
It's like that thinking emoji. it's like, can I grab that, eat it, and still teach the class?
And do I want to eat it now or later?
Am I gonna be hungry later or no? That's crazy, man.
I'm like, it's a lot of bullshit. And
Bro, I think that's gonna offend some people in the comment section.
oh yeah, fat people are listening to the martial arts podcast.
No, that's a low blow.
The fat lady listening to martial arts podcast that got
She's like,
this
"Hey."
far and she's like, oh my gosh.
I have an orange belt in Taekwondo, and I feel really offended.
Oranges are too high in freaking calcium. I need to balance it
Wait,
out with some
pause.
fries.
Pause, did you say orange is too high in calcium?
I don't know what's in an orange.
Fool.
What are oranges high in?
Vitamin C.
Vitamin C, same thing. So,
Same thing.
like, they're like, oranges are too high in vitamin C.
What
I
time
need
are
some.
we at, Ren?
Oh, we're at 37.
Beautiful.
38. They're like, I need to balance it out with some salts. Salts and fries.
Listen, if you want to be salty, just go into a tournament. You'll be salty, trust.
Okay.
Plenty of things to be salty about.
Here's the thing, okay? Like, these people, I
And
didn't.
They unjustly got their black belts, to be honest. 'Cause
Yeah.
They just kind of like existed in that space for long enough to get their black belts.
Yeah, and it's like, same thing with Sensei Cheeks. Sensei Cheeks was this horse lady's. Basically, she's like, this is my pretend son. Like, I treat him like a son, but he's
This
not
is
my
the-
son.
This is my prodigy.
This is my son, whom is not fucking stupid.
Whoa, that's really dark.
Now, I remember, like, what was her name? Smaller Sphere. So,
Smaller ball.
smaller ball. So with this girl, like,
Fucking.
her main gimmick was that she didn't have a gimmick, did she?
No, now that I think about it, her gimmick was kind of covered by other people.
Her gimmick was that
You're thinking about a different person.
her gimmick was that she was like 18 and she could like cover the insurance.
Oh no, her gimmick. Yeah, it's like I'm technically an adult.
Like, if you need me, I'll just be in the building.
I think her gimmick was that like she was like a world kickboxing champion or some shit.
but it's like,
But like, how are you?
you can't.
Damn, son, how are you gonna be like 5'2", 230 pounds, and be a world kickboxing champion? I'm sorry, man. Like, come on now.
It's like
5'2". Listen, man, I'm a short guy, right? But like, and I'm really light right now. I'm like an optimal weight.
if
But
you
like that's like double what my body weight is right now.
if you put like something small in a sphere and you roll that sphere around long enough, eventually that small thing on the sphere is gonna hit something.
You know, if you if you start with the small fries, eventually you're gonna graduate to the large fries.
It's like, we keep talking about fat people. I might put that in the title at this point.
What the fuck?
Fat Kwando. So.
To be honest, Taekwondo is the art that promotes like being okay with overweight people.
At our first video, I did not see as much fat people as the second one.
You might be right. I think maybe it's something with sport karate shit.
Like sport karate, it's like come to tournaments and you can do point fighting, and it's like, oh, my least favorite type of fighting.
Hold on. Ren is like a he mostly it's like that Olympic style WTF fighting. Yes, I almost said ITF for a second.
That's what I did. And
it's like for me it's like like I can indulge in that, but there is skill to point fighting. I'm just gonna say that.
If you call skill being like I'm a really skilled at a game.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's a martial game.
I'm good at playing Super Smash Brothers. That makes me instantly good at fighting people IRL.
Wait, what?
It's like, sport karate.
Is Ren actually base god at Smash?
Point fighting is, in my opinion, a game, and that's what it is. I'm good at a game.
I don't have a problem with point fighting. I think it's when it's marketed as real fighting. But we're going really off topic.
Well, it's kind of still on topic because we're talking about fat people. And when we talk about point fighting, that attracts the fat people.
Okay. Back to the main topic. Should there be fat black belts?
Depends.
Elaborate.
I feel if you have the knowledge, and sometimes...
Fool.
Wait. Oh, shut up for a moment. Weight can be a determining factor of fitness. Yes, and it is a huge one. But I feel I have seen a couple people who are kind of chubby that can still pull off.
No, but we're not talking about kind of chubby. We're talking about like obese. There's a difference between like a little bit husky, and obese.
When we talk about black belt, is it skill or knowledge based?
That's the same thing.
Not really.
I think skill has definitely, it's directly related to your knowledge.
I could 100%. Know everything about martial arts, yet be fat.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't know everything about martial arts.
Here's the thing.
There's no way you'd be able to perform everything that you know.
I look at it and it's like fat people, they, as a black belt, probably not. I think
my thing is, you should, for example, if you're a Taekwondo black belt, you should be able to perform everything.
I think
and if you're fat, you won't be able to. You just won't be able to spin.
Oh, yeah.
And turn and fucking bounce and
I think
jump.
There eventually will be an exception to the rule. We just haven't found it yet.
It's not the movies. It's not like Kung Fu Panda. Po doesn't actually exist. He's not gonna be fucking bouncing between buildings.
Well, no, but it's like.
I think if you're a black belt and you don't have the discipline to train your body up to the point where you're not obese,
I get that.
Or you don't have the discipline to not eat like shit every single day, or to come to training, I don't think you deserve the black belt, to be honest.
Yeah, but hold up, they got that black belt in fry eating, so they took that.
Are they actually the best?
They spilt some Szechuan sauce under white belt and turned it red, and they're like, "Hold on a minute, is this an upgrade?"
This man actually said Szechuan sauce.
Like I view like those people, and it's like they tag if you need 2 belts to tie your belt. Where it's
if you need an extra large belt, and you're not like 7 feet tall, get the fuck out of my face. Bro, if you have to ask somebody to demonstrate something for you, get the fuck out of my face with it. If you can't demonstrate your own thing that you're teaching because you're so obese, get the fuck out. If you can't touch your toes, get the fuck out of my face.
I have some, mumble.
I'm not that flexible.
I'm kind of flexible at this point.
Can you touch your toes?
I've gotten better.
Get the fuck out of my face.
Get the fuck off my podcast.
Or my podcast.
This is the. Well, yeah, I was mentioning you. It's like, if you can't touch your toes, get off my podcast.
I mean, oh man,
I can touch my toes.
I understand.
I can touch them.
I understand.
I can do them right now.
Ren, please don't snap your shit.
Actually, I'm pretty sore.
You're also wearing skinny jeans. Sit your bitch ass down. That was good enough.
What do you mean? Okay, but here's the thing, okay? I look at, like, these people, they're overweight. And it's like, you got your black belt because of money. You paid the instructor who
Who's
might
also likely overweight,
you know,
so it's acceptable in that environment.
this is like some BuzzFeed video in the making where it's like 300-pound people try martial arts, and they'll have like that really inspirational one being like,
For 5 minutes.
"Hi, my name's Sydney. I'm a black belt in martial arts, and I weigh 450 pounds."
Just straight up martial arts, like not even a certain style. I'm just like a master at everything.
I think
So like I stopped counting.
I think the scariest martial art to do fat people with would be judo, because like
They're
he gets on top of you, you're dead.
It's jujitsu, man.
Jiu-jitsu.
Although like like I've rolled with overweight people in jujitsu and I've done that, and it's
Well, it's easier to roll a sphere, so
I mean no, but when they are on top of you, you're in trouble. But you can develop that top pressure with just being knowledgeable on how
that's
to
true,
spread
that's
your
true.
weight and drop your weight. But I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some exceptions of people with like different body types. Like there's a lot of famous fighters that on the first glance, like, oh, like that guy's fat. But that's just kind of his body type. He's not really fat. Like, and also a good way to measure if you're obese is just your stamina. Like I'm talking about these famous fighters. Like Ren probably doesn't know, but like Mark Hunt, Roy Nelson, these are guys that fight in the UFC and Pride and whatnot, and they're husky guys, right? But they're already heavy for their weight class. They just fight heavyweight. So that's not a problem. But those guys have killer conditioning, and they're legit athletes. So I would say that's the only exception. But even then, it's like they don't have to go in between dojos and little fucking scooters because they can't walk.
Yeah, and I think what I was trying to get on before about should fat people, and I said maybe depends. It's like
it went from talking about belts to fat people.
Yeah, but it's like it's the same thing.
It's two different topics.
Shut up, and I'm gonna explain why they're the same thing real quick. Belts came from Western society. Western people are chubby.
That's not true. Belts did not come from Western society.
I
just said at the beginning of the show where belts come from.
You said some bullshit, but here's my thing. It's like,
AKA, I'm the only one that knows where belts come from.
No, well, my point is where belts came from. It got really popularized
in the West. Yeah,
in the West, it got popularized in the West. Western people are fat, so we connect the dots.
We don't want to invest in like actually getting fit. We just want to play costumes.
And what I want to point out before what I was saying is like, should fat people be black belts? And I pointed out, it depends. Is if you're fat and fit, is what I'm getting at. If you're fat, flexible, fit, and can do all the kicks.
Okay, if you're all of those, you're good. Like if you're all of those,
you pass.
You pass. Like because that's an appearance thing, and like appearance should not be judged, right? But what's the chance of that happening? Like really low.
1 in a million.
Maybe not that low. Damn. So basically, the moral of the story is Ren hates fat people.
Oh, wait, you pointed out fat people way more.
Listen.
You opened up by saying I hate fat people.
Listen, I don't hate nobody. I just think I hate a lot of people actually, but I just think some people are in the wrong industry and the wrong things. And if you're gonna do something, make sure you go about it correctly. That's always my motto. If you go into something, do it right. If you go into martial arts, get fit doing martial arts. Try your best. Watch your diet. Be smart with your decisions. Do not risk injury. Don't have a heart attack.
Here's what I'm gonna say as my final little thoughts. When it comes to martial arts, belts. If you're fat, I'm just saying you'll put in what you get out of it, and it doesn't depend on the belt. You could be a white belt, and you could broaden your horizons before you even get to a black belt. Mm-hmm. These little gates are just paywalls. They're little deals. If I'm gonna compare,
it's like if you buy a game,
yeah,
and every like couple months there's like paid DLC that you have to buy. Yeah. Instead of actually paying like.
Well, it's like I imagine like one of those mobile games where it's like you played the free trial level, now pay us. Yeah, and it's like
oh, this level, yeah, you need this special item that costs you $3.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, it'll give you maybe like a neat little cutscene or something.
Yeah, thanks.
It's like you never see that again.
And it's like
what?
you know, and it's all paywalls. And like once you get the black belt, it's even more of a bigger paywall. Nothing's preventing you from getting this knowledge earlier. And I feel if you're gonna put in that time, if you're gonna put in that effort, you're gonna do better than the person who paid their way up. 100%.
Yes, exactly.
So
and remember, you probably are not gonna be with the same school forever.
yeah.
So think about, okay, what am I gonna do when this is over? What am I gonna do when I need somebody else's validation of my credentials?
And you know, when you get to that point and you're putting yourself through all of that, ask yourself, does the belt really matter to me?
Yeah, like, is it worth it, you know, to do all that?
If I put in all this time, put in all of this effort, and then I just end up paying the guy $200, what's getting me the black belt, the time and effort or the money?
Mm-hmm.
And most likely, it's going to be the money.
Yeah, that's usually the answer. I mean, it's...
I understand some businesses have to get money off those black belts, off that belt testing, because that's what, like I said, 50% of the money comes from.
Which is, like, ridiculous. I mean...
And, like, I get that.
But I think that's just poor business choices that, like it makes you resort to doing something like that.
Here's your alternatives. You could rather raise up membership, or you could fire some people. Your choice.
And that's usually what I would recommend is fire people.
Yeah.
Because most places will just hire junior black belts or people that aren't qualified to teach martial arts.
If you're going to go out there and eat a potato instead of teaching the class, ayo, man.
That's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. Your
Yeah.
black belts are shit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when I was learning, I'm still learning Shotokan from a friend of mine, and his sensei told him, you know, if you are trying to do something with your art, and you're trying to train new people, you know, you start small and grow slowly, right? So you make sure you really take care of these people. Whoever you teach, you want to make sure they're legit. Everywhere they go, their skill is recognized, because that's what you want. You know, you don't want to just be, oh yeah, I'm only good because I'm in this organization and I have a paper that says so. Because most people don't give a damn about no paper, you know. You get that little black belt certificate, but who's ever shown that anywhere?
Yeah.
Who's ever been like, oh, here's my black belt certificate? No, people really judge. Humans judge mostly on looks, right? So if you look like shit, it doesn't matter what credentials you have, you're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah, and you know, I think final thoughts before we end it off. I'm gonna leave everyone with this message. Martial arts, you're gonna get in the West most likely scammed.
Yeah.
If you
Your
want,
first black belt's probably gonna be trash.
if you want to learn, I would suggest go to a far smaller school. At that point,
Yeah, go to a small school.
yeah. At that point, they're not gonna be as focused on the money.
Yeah, they're not gonna hassle you over money.
Eh.
Either go to a small school or network with somebody and train with them, like on a one-on-one basis. But I mean, to be honest, most likely if you're listening to this and you're a black belt, you're probably trash.
Ooh wee.
I'm just saying that because 70 maybe % of all black belts are just absolute garbage.
Yeah,
they don't
that's
represent whatever they do is just, it's not even represented well. But if you're not a black belt that's trash,
Good for you.
good for you. I mean, like, it's awesome.
One other thing, before you comment in the comment section below, being like, "I'm not trash," I want you to. I want you.
That's how you know you're trash.
That's how you know you're trash. Like, if you're gonna comment that, I want you to look at yourself and be like, "Hold up."
Really give yourself like an honest evaluation. Like,
I
am
want-
I trash?
I want you to take out a calculator and I want you to calculate how much money you spent to get to that belt.
Take into account how young you are too,
Yeah.
and
like,
and your weight.
I feel if it and your weight. Back on fat people. If you
You just won't leave them alone.
no,
Ren, leave these poor people. They can't even run.
Here's the harder question. What is worse? If the money you spent on getting your black belt is equal to the amount you spend on fast food,
Oh my god, that double threat.
are you the greatest black belt of all time?
Yeah. So, can I just say one more thing before we go?
Yeah. Go ahead.
If you are a black belt or you're a color belt and you're training, comment down below what's your experience with belt testings. If you have any belt test stories, please share in the chat. It's lit. I'd love to hear
We will be responding to comments.
some fucking fire stories. about people passing out on black belt testings and things like that. You know, tell us a little bit about yourselves. You know, are you a black belt under who and who, and have you ever interacted with a black belt of another style? And how do you feel about that? Do you think they represent their style very well?
Other question: do you think you deserve your black belt?
Yes.
Be honest with yourself.
Like, really, just give yourself like an honest evaluation. Be like, yo, am I trash?
All right. Thank you everybody for watching. This has been the Black Belt Factory, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Yeah.
And goodbye.